Hello everyone and welcome to WhatCulture.com. My name is Jules Gill and I have two words for you. Sex sells. It's a common adage that you'll see across pretty much every area of advertising because people genuinely believe that exposed flesh, titillation and racy thoughts does indeed shift units. And while it is probably better to say that sexual appeal is the thing that sells, it's definitely something that is stuck throughout most of the industry. And of course, it's gone into the video games that we play as well, which I'm going to detail today in a continuation of a series that I started quite a long time ago on 7 deadly gaming sins. I did greed before in a different style, and now I'm here in the lockdown isolation station where I'm going to be presenting one on lust. Because as a result of lust in the gaming industry, we've seen developers, publishers, and indeed players losing the plot and thinking with their privates. So today, what we're going to be doing is looking at the video game moments that made us pull an O-face, but in either disgust or surprise. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 7 times that the gaming industry gave in to lust. And no, before you say, I am in no way a prude or do I think that there needs to be heavy censorship on our games or anything like that. It's very tongue-in-cheek this, but at the same time, I think that you'll agree that some of these entries, well, they're a bit rich for many people's blood. Number 7, the Hitman Absolution trailer. While this trailer is not alone in using sexual overtones in advertising or marketing to sell units, it perhaps stands out as one of the most tone-deaf moments for the franchise. Wanting to prove that the revitalized Hitman Absolution was going to be the game to watch in 2012, Square Enix pulled out all the stops and dropped a full CG trailer to capture the world's attention. And it did, but for the wrong reasons. Now, as an action short, this is still a very powerful piece of media, showcasing Agent 47 battered and bruised, but having to continue his deadly line of work. We see him with a newly removed barcode, stating loudly to the audience that he was done with his handlers and their shady practices. And the choreography with the new gang that was attacking him was really well directed. However, why the hell were these nuns so goddamn sexy? It served 0 point to the plot at all and just came across as a desperate move by Square Enix to capture that key teen demographic, leading many fans to say that this entire moment made the franchise jump the shark. Things only got worse when the game dropped and it became clear that their involvement with the story boiled down to just one mission, and it never explained why they chose to wear outfits like this that would have actually hindered their combat potential. Now, this is the thing, from a casual perspective, I'm a huge fan of the film The Warriors. I'm all for casual cosplay dress-up stuff, but when it came to actually trying to invest this into the narrative, well, I, along with many others, was having none of it. Aha. A joke. Number 6, developers who revel in being pervs. When you're posited as the director of a video game franchise, what you say goes. And in a strange twist of power, this has meant that we've seen developers really push the boat out when it comes to displaying their wildest fantasies for a video game audience. One need only look at the man who swallowed every movie plot point ever and then put them into one franchise, Hideo Kojima, for just how much a director can get away with. This man has pushed 2-hour cutscenes, ludicrous fourth wall breaking moments, and of course sexually charged experiences to players, and no one seems to be keen in trying to take the reins off of him anytime soon. However, while his collaborations with pretty much every pop culture star possible and weird energy drink sponsorships were completely off the wall, his approach to sexual content was decidedly more simple. He just wanted to see some tits. No, seriously, he stated that the character design for Quiet actually had bugger all to do with her actually absorbing sunlight through her skin, and it was just because he wanted to see people cosplay as her. And you can't actually fault the man for being blunt in his wants, because you know what, he's not alone. Nier's Yoko Taro also wanted to see some lewd content because he actively encouraged the fans who were making sexual artwork of 2B from Nier Automata Potato Patata to put it all into a zip file and send it to him so that he could then share it out. I don't know whether to be shocked or impressed. Number 5, questionable collector's editions. So say you're a pervy developer who has finally got the gold stamp of approval onto your project and it is now ready to hit the stores and hopefully shift some units. What are you going to do next? Well, if you were thinking creatively, you'd be getting together an advertising campaign to basically promote the merits of your game, to make sure that there's awareness of the product, and even put out a demo so that a lot of people can experience what they're about to buy and therefore make an informed decision. However, if that sounds like too much effort, then you can always just stick some tits onto a mouse mat and call it a day. Such is the exact line of thinking that must have gone through the Team Ninja office when they came to promoting Dead or Alive Extreme 3, a bird-watching simulator of a different variety with an actually half-decent volleyball game attached. But by this point, the offshoot to the perky puncher that was the main Dead or Alive series was already at the point of parody, leaning more towards busts and beach balls than busting somebody in the balls with each iteration. However, in order to get that real wow factor, they decided to bundle editions of the game with fake-breasted mouse mats, meaning that no more would your games of StarCraft suffer stints of swollen joints, for now they could rest easy on one of the cast members' mams. It's utterly ridiculous, but clearly something the target audience wanted, because now these mouse mats, they fetch ludicrous prices online. Or so I'm told. And you know what? If this isn't your cup of tit tea, then why not try the ludicrously rude on the rail and straight to jail shooter that was Gun Gal and get a special edition that came bundled with a pair of pants. Now, as the albeit limited Steam stats have shown, an overwhelming amount of players of this game were men, and not to kink shame anyone, but I don't ever want to imagine what those pants were used for. And bear in mind that these are meant to be high school students that you're shooting here, so that is a huge level of grime that is all over this. And there are many, many more examples than this, but if you thought that paying for a pair of pants was bad, just wait until you hear about this next entry. Number 4, giving used underwear as an esports prize. Yes, that's completely correct, as at a World of Tanks event in Japan, used underwear was doled out to runners-up at this competition. However, these weren't any old stinky underpants. No, these were the stinky underpants of Japanese porn star Mana Sakura, which she took off live on stage, autographed, and then presented to the lucky runner-ups. Oh, what a day that must have been to not only have not won the event itself, but come home with a used pair of pants. It's like, hey mum, look, I've dedicated my life to playing a game and I wasn't even good enough to win at it, but I've got some World of Spanks instead. Fantastic. Also, we've got kind of a weird situation here. Does that mean that she was wearing like 23 pairs of pants and then just took them off one by one? Or did she take them off, put a new pair on, only to take them off again? I don't even want to think about it, to be honest. And this is the thing, video game fans have always had to carry the stigma of being maybe socially awkward perverts by the main media at large, so having a literal porn star give you a proverbial pat on the head and say, "Oh shucks, you were almost a somebody," probably isn't going to do the industry any favours. Number 3, sexual gratification through violence. So as I've detailed, it's very clear that the gaming industry is more than aware of how to use sex within its marketing, its overall narrative, and it's also apparent that some developers use their platform to push their fantasies, whatever form they take. But what about when sexual gratification becomes intrinsically linked with gameplay? And you can read thousands of articles on how video games supposedly affect players' mindsets and have influence over them, and it is an absolute quagmire to sift through, but some video game developers are definitely exploring the relationships between the two. Take No More Heroes as a good example. I mean, on the surface, this appears to be a loud, brash, and overly aggressive game, showcasing an anime-loving loser rising to the top of the world-ranked assassins for glory and honor. Except it's not glory or honor that motivates Travis. He wants to become the king of killers because if he does so, then Sylvia will sleep with him. Suda51, the mastermind behind this game, therefore sets up a situation in which the player is driven towards this end goal and then immediately puts every obstacle in their path to make sure that they become blatantly aware of what they're actually trying to achieve. By forcing the player to complete chores and boring side tasks in order to earn the right to fight, he's grabbing the player by the ear and shouting, "This shouldn't be okay. Is this what you're willing to do in order to have sex? Are you okay with murdering for the sheer hell of it or without conscience or worry?" And yet, the boss battles in this game are so purposefully brilliant that it truly is like a sexual release, or at least an emotional one, to finally best each and every one of them. Here, Suda51 is highlighting the perverse nature of violence, sex, and the desire prevalent within media and our own society, and makes us feel dirty each and every time that we ask for more. And in this sense, he's made us aware of this cycle of gratification and has therefore provided a perfect example of anger and, of course, lust. Number 2, unnecessary sexual encounters. Throughout the years, countless games have tried to add a little spice to their broth by upping the age rating with lewd content. Swear jars runneth over, and the bodies that line the streets in some video games make it look like the apocalypse has just rolled into town. And of course, there are the times where the players get to indulge in their fake fantasies and mesh some digital flesh in moments that you could probably only describe as getting some coffee after the infamous GTA San Andreas mod, Hot Coffee. So here's the thing, if done with respect and tact, these encounters can be truly some of the most emotionally rewarding moments in gaming. Mass Effect is a brilliant example of this, where you truly do come to care for your chosen partner, and the sexual encounter is therefore a culmination of support and, dare I say it, love. Yet there are other examples of games that have gone so balls deep on the let's bang okay option that it makes no sense whatsoever. Ride to Hell Retribution, with its fully clothed sex scenes which were absolutely abhorrently executed, offered intercourse as a reward for helping out women in trouble. Because who doesn't get all slimy after watching a man you don't know murder other people in front of you? I mean, that's just southern romance, right? Terminator Resistance, in an effort to make you remember that humans do like to do the do, insisted that in this 2019 game that they had 2 romance moments that just came completely out of left field. And who can forget the ending to Far Cry 3, where after you've gone through all of that trouble to try and rescue your friend and your girlfriend, you can then kill her just so that you can go bang her. Absolutely ridiculous. All of these moments and more are aimed squarely at a thirsty teen demographic, and all of them utterly fail because of how shallow and inept they are at integrating themselves into their titles. And number 1, poor depictions of sexual assault. As grim as it is to say aloud, yes, it is true that some video games have used sexual assault as a means to shift units. Now, not a lot of the games in question will actually go so far as to show the act itself, but allusions to and references to have been used in even the most high-profile of titles. Even in the recent masterpiece Red Dead Redemption 2, Arthur Morgan can run afoul of a stranger in the bayou who proceeds to knock the protagonist unconscious and have his way with him. And this scene is played for shock value and dark humour, with Arthur waking up and moaning, "Oh Lord," before the player then gets control. And it's strange to see such a horrible act used so callously. Then in Tomb Raider 2013, we got another example of a developer using an incredibly poor choice of words to describe a nasty situation. As we know well, Lara Croft is one of gaming's leading ladies and has proved on countless adventures that she is perfectly capable of overcoming any situation on her own. Yet in the reboot, Ron Rosenberg, the game's executive producer, commented, "Lara gets taken prisoner by the scavengers on the island. They then try to rape her. She's literally turned into a cornered animal," when describing a scene in the game. Now, this moment looked to turn one of the most badass women in gaming into a potential victim, and went on to provoke huge outrage within the community, as did a scene in Hotline Miami 2 in which the player actively takes part in a rape scenario. Now, it is worth noting that before the act can actually fully commence, a director off-screen yells cut, and it shows it to be a movie that you were working on. But up until that point, this game was willing to use sexual assault as a means to shock the player. And the question is, why do this? And so here we can see that lust can indeed be a powerful and sometimes irresponsibly used tool of marketing for the video game industry. And there we go, those were 7 times the video game industry gave in to lust. I hope that you enjoyed that, my friends, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below, as well as any other thoughts that you might have about this. I would love to sort of see what you guys thought about this series as a whole, because I'd love to keep doing it, and your support would mean the world to me. If you want to chat to me further about video games, TV, film, anything else, you can do so over on Twitter at RetroJ with a 0. I hope that you're well and treating yourself fairly as best you possibly can, both mentally and physically. I hope you have a fantastic day, whatever you are getting up to, because remember, you are a big big ledge in my eyes. Go out there and absolutely smash it, all right? As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.